Hey everybody, it's Scotty from Scotty's Record Shop with another artist profile. This time we're going to take a look at the band, the Atlanta Rhythm Section. In my opinion, these guys are uh, seriously underrated or overlooked, whatever term you want to use. I mean, most people from my generation would go, yeah, I remember them, and could even name probably one or two of their songs. You know, they were pretty successful come the late 70s, mid to late 70s. However, I really think they deserve a second look, especially as a band overall. They started out as a bunch of studio musicians. I believe one of the members was in the band The Classics 4. They had song Traces and Spooky, which the Atlanta Rhythm Section would eventually redo on one of their albums, which we'll get to. They first signed to Decca in '72. They put out a couple of albums for Decca, and those two albums actually are hard to find. They appear, though, here reissued on MCA in the mid '70s, like '76 or '7, I think this came out. The first album, and then their second album, Back Up Against the Wall, which actually have two different lead singers. The first album had a totally different lead singer than the rest of their material. And not that he was a bad singer, but it wasn't the Atlanta Rhythm Section that we know. Back Up Against the Wall started getting that feel of what you would come to know for them, thanks in part to the very recognizable voice of Ronnie Hammond, who has since passed away a couple of years ago. Great voice, though. That guy was a great singer. But here you go. This is probably the easiest way to find the first two LPs. You know, this reissue. If you find them on Decca, good for you. You know, they're okay. They're not the prime stuff by the Atlantic Rhythm Section, but it's not bad. They signed to Polydor in '74, and this was the first album that we got from them. Third Annual Pipe Dream. I love that title. They weren't giving up, were they? And they shouldn't have, because this album was really, really good and spawned a single called Doorville, which I love the song Doorville. It never gets played on the radio, but it did make it into the Billboard Hot 100. It may have even made it into the lower portion of the top 40. I can't remember, but not a very big hit from them, but a really cool song. And on the Polydor label, I'll show you this at least once. I mean, there's nothing extraordinary about that label, and from my memory, none of the other albums have custom labels. If I have the inserts that are custom, I'll show you. Next album we get from them is Dog Days, 1975. Just for the song Dog Days, this is worth it. I love that song. But this is really just chock full of a lot of just great, underrated stuff. You know, it's just a darn good album. And we do have a Polydor inner sleeve from that era, as a matter of fact. The great thing about a lot of these albums, with the exception of the first two albums, anyway, and maybe the live album that I'll show you in a little bit, they're all like dollar bin deals. I mean, you shouldn't pay more than a couple bucks for any of these, and well worth it. I mean, and they're not really, really hard to find. This next album, 1976, was really where they really broke out, I guess. I hate that term, but really became popular in some respects. The album Rock and Roll Alternative. This is a fantastic record. So Into You is the hit single off of this, which I'm sure a lot of you old fuddy-duddies like myself remember that song. And it does not have my copy doesn't have any kind of a custom sleeve, so I'm not going to worry about it. Great record. If you want to pick up an album from them, I'm not sure how I'm going to like these guys. I see this for $1. I'll give it a try. This is one of two that I recommend. We'll get to the other one in a little bit. Red Tape, another solid record from them, not their highest rated album, but don't let that scare you. It's still this mid-70s Atlanta Rhythm Section, and you really can't go wrong. Like I said, for $1, you can pick this up usually for $1 or $2. And I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's got to come from inner. It does. I'll show you that. There are the boys from Doorville. Doorville, Georgia, y'all. That's where these guys hail from. This is the other album that if there's, especially if you're looking at a bunch of Atlanta Rhythm Section and you remember this video and Scotty says pick up one of them, which one should I pick up? I'm only going to pick up one. There it is, right there. Champagne Jam. This is them at their peak right here. This and Rock and Roll Alternative, like I said before, but I'm not going to let it bother me tonight. Imaginary Lover, Champagne Jam, just a great record. And this has a paper sleeve, just a standard paper sleeve, so I'm not going to show you. 1978, great record. The next album that we get from them is Underdog. Is it Underdog? It's Underdog. And this is not a bad album. It's maybe not quite as good as Champagne Jam, but don't let that scare you away from it, especially for the price. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Look at this right here, $1. That's what I paid for. You know, this is like my second or third copy of this, by the way. Again, on the Polydor, and there's nothing unusual about the inner sleeve, so I'm not going to show you. The live album. This was the hardest album for me to find by them. Not that it's incredibly hard, but the copy that I got was in mint shape. Great inner picture, huh? Great. This is a great album too. Some great jams on this. If you find it, pick it up. The album is Are You Ready? From the Atlanta Rhythm Section. I believe this is 79. Next one, and the last album they do for Polydor, Boys from Doraville. At least in title, they're going back to their roots. This is an okay album. Again, you know, not a Champagne Jam, not a Rock and Roll Alternative, but not a bad album either. Okay? And this does have an paper insert with lyrics and etc., 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 etc. Last album we get from them, they switched labels. They went over to Columbia, which you think, man, this is going to work out really good for them. They were still quite popular come 1980. 81 we get the album Quinella, which is not a bad album. The single off this, which made it into the top 40, was a song that doesn't get played anymore, but it's definitely not a bad song, a song called Aliens. And this is on the, I'll show you the label. Like, you don't know this Columbia label, right? You know that, don't you guys? Anyway, they recorded another album for Columbia. Columbia listened to it and went, no thank you. They rejected it. And I've heard the album. It's circulated, unofficial copies have circulated for years. And it's not that bad of an album. I don't get why Columbia, you know, canned it. But the band broke up after that. They've since reemerged and have recorded some pretty decent music since then. Ronnie Hammond and their lead singer, and a few other members have passed away over the years. I guess they're still playing. I don't know, but you know, the time to have seen them, quite honestly, probably was in the glory days. 78, 79. But a great band. I hope that you guys, if you've never heard of the Atlanta Rhythm Section, I hope that you look into them, and if you know of them, and like I said at the beginning of the video, I know these guys, but I don't know. I encourage you to take a second look at this band. Seriously, they're a damn good band. Again, and as always, thank you everybody who watches these things and subscribes to my channel. I do truly appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, peace and love.